Twice has been dropping some pretty good stuff lately, right? Um, I think it's interesting that we got Geo Solo, Nyan dropped the sort of birthday single off of her solo album, and then we're getting this MelPro from Chaeyoung. Uh, might be reading into it a little bit, but perhaps there is an upcoming solo album for Chaeyoung. I mean, that would be cool, right? That would be a lot of fun. Um, and so this just dropped out of nowhere yesterday. Like there was no indication, at least that I saw anywhere, like something's coming up. As these Mel Pros tend to just like, put out a video. I think the last one was Taeyeon's, wasn't it, for her birthday, where she did the Paw Patrol song, the Adam Levine cover. And it's interesting too. Chaeyoung has like a very particular taste in music and stuff. Cause this Eddie Benjamin, I had no idea who that was. I was like, Weatherman. I thought she was, I thought she was singing that pirate song. But I know, as I usually do with these things, right? It's like, okay, so this is a cover, Weatherman, Eddie Benjamin. So what I did was I went and listened to the song, right? The original song by Eddie Benjamin, and I'm like, oh, okay. He's got a interesting sound. Like his vocal range is incredibly high, as is the trend with a lot of Western pop music. When it's a male artist or vocalist, their range has trended higher and higher over the past like decade or so. Not to say that there weren't, because like already higher male vocal ranges. I mean, you can go back to the 80s with hair metal bands and even some of the pop pop acts back then. It's just that they've kind of continued to go along that trend, and so you hear a lot of these higher, like upper range male vocals these days. And but it was an interesting song. It has a nice chord progression. That the chords almost remind me of like an Elton John song or something like that. And it has a very light poppy kind of bouncy rhythm to it. That's fun. The piano rhythms, these nice staccato little boom, 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 and it has this, a nice character to the song. It's very, it's enjoyable. It's just, like there's nothing too dynamic about it or too, you know what I mean. It's a very like easy listening type of song, But I thought, okay, well this. I'm interested to see if she matches the vocal range, or if she kind of, maybe what it's gonna sound like. Just what it's gonna. I can picture it, or I can hear it in my mind already. But it's still when you finally do hear it, it's like, okay, let's see where this sits at. So I just actually listened to the I watched the other video right before this, so now I get to go in with a fresh idea and a fresh, sort of experience with what the sound is like of the song. So let's check out Chaeyoung's cover of this Weatherman song.
Go tell the weatherman I said I want it sunny of Saturday. No darkness in my emotions. So tired of living it yesterday. Go tell the weatherman I said all the rain from last year's pain is gone. Go tell the weatherman I said good thanks for all the things that he's done. Sunset now it's nighttime. Yeah, catch me drifting on a firelight. Ooh, it's pouring rain, gotta the weatherman, I said I want it sunny outside today. No darkness in my emotions. So tired of living in yesterday. Go tell the weatherman, I said all the rain from last year's pain is gone. Go tell the weatherman, I said good thanks for all the things that he's done. I was caught up in my past life. Yeah, now there's some things you cannot change. So tell me weatherman, what's it gonna be? Tuning all the time so I can see the Mother Nature's fine with its hidden plan. You may not understand most of. Go tell the weatherman, I said I want it sunny outside today. No darkness in my emotions. So tired of living in yesterday. Go tell the weatherman, I said all the rain from last year's pain is gone. Go tell the weatherman, I said good thanks for all the things that he's done.
Oh, what is this? A 2-octave piano there? See how the entire range stays, pretty high. There's no need for the lower octaves on the piano. What's interesting to me about these a lot of times too is you notice that she still has blonde hair in this video, right? And she just recently dyed it black. I was on the she was on Bubble, right? And she was asking like, what color should I change my hair? Like, is the blonde okay? Like, what? And everybody, well, it was like kind of half and half, right? Some people were saying, yeah, keep the blonde. A lot of people were saying, no, go back to black hair. That kind of like, yeah, it was the between 1 and 2, that sort of look, right? The last time that she had the dark hair, and I mean, it doesn't matter to me what color her hair is. I think she could do whatever she wants, right? It's just, to me, as I like all of them, right? Like, it doesn't matter to me. But it's so the point I'm trying to get at before I get distracted with Chaeyoung, is that there's production phases, right? So you have like pre-production, production, and then post-production. So the idea for this was in the works a while ago, you know what I mean? It probably was whenever they had that brief sort of break in the tour schedule, you know what I mean? And everybody went back to Korea and stuff, and I'm thinking that's when a lot of this was actually done. Even Nayeon's that release of the No Problem song, I think a lot of this was done during that time period, which is interesting because they were still working. I mean, depending, you have pre-production for this, so it's kind of like, okay, Chaeyoung might be like, I want to do a MelPro, and they're like, okay, well, what about, okay, this is the song. They go, okay, so it's not that long, it's 2 minutes 30 seconds, okay. And the video ideas, got video ideas. The video is actually pretty cool. It's fun. I dig all of the sort of like, fourth wall sort of stuff, she's watching the TV, but she's on the TV. And then there's an interesting concept with, like, she's the weather report, she's holding the umbrella, but then, like, if you pan out, okay, there's Chaeyoung. She was actually like, there's a little bit of a playful idea here that things aren't always the way that they seem, that things are often represented in a certain way for, a particular end, or to kind of persuade people to have an interpretation of things, but they're not always true. I mean, that's not always like the whole story, at least, right? And that's kind of in the song too. Is it songs like, okay, the weathermen are telling me that it's to expect something bad, right? But I don't want that. I'm sort of tired of hearing that. I'd rather, know that the sun is going to be shining or whatever. So that's kind of like the conceptual play there. And but it could just be my bias, sure, like I can't deny it. I can't even like try, you know what I mean? Chaeyoung's the ultimate like no one else will ever do, man. So it could just be my bias talking, but I actually think this sounds better than the original. Now like I said, didn't even know who Eddie Benjamin was, you know what I mean? Like I had no idea. It's cool that she brings, you know, different sounds. I'm like, what's this? This is something new to me again. So she's introduced me and probably some other people to another artist and another song. But since it has that higher range with the vocal parts, I think it just sounds like so much better with her voice, you know. And like I said, am I biased? 100%. So that's fair too, right? Like that's fair too. I won't even argue against it. That's a fair enough take. There's little things in here, even at the beginning. There's a little, I don't know what is said, or if it's even supposed to be if it's supposed to be obscure, I mean, but there's like a yelling sound. Somebody's like, it's like somebody's like, ah, and they even include that in the beginning of this song, right? Like she has that also going on. There's some really interesting things with the vocals, and in the original track, he does this too, where there are two vocal tracks that are, you know, so I think one of them's obviously got a little bit of a very particular production treatment as far as the EQing, as far as reverb, you know. And then there's another track that doesn't quite have that same treatment on it. I don't know if it's a straight up raw vocal track and then the bust aux track with the effects on it, but they're stereo arranged, right? So you can actually hear both parts going on at the same time, and it gives it this kind of layered effect, you know, where it's only one voice, but you're hearing two different versions of it. Right there, see, that's in the original also. So I count this, you can count it two different ways, right? Like you can either count, to me it feels like eighth notes. So every time you hear it doot doot, it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so there's I think it's only two chords, but you're going back and forth between from one to the next one about every half measure. Total phrase is going to be 2 full bars, so 8. But you could count it that way, or you could count straight through, in which it would be a measure on each chord. That also makes sense. So it'd be 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. I mean, I think later on when we start to get to pre-chorus, chorus sections, the 8 kind of makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, even the production on that, like the reverb, the echo, it's very major.
Go tell the weatherman I said I want it sunny of Saturday, no darkness in my emotions, so tired of living it yesterday. Go tell the weatherman I said all the rain from last year's painting.
You have the keys sound, the piano sound, and then an organ comes in too, just playing whole like half notes, and following the same progression. That's a little bit smaller of a sound too. Interestingly, the organ would normally be a bigger sound, right? But the way that it's worked into the mix, it's a little bit lower. It's not like this big sound. The piano is much bigger sound, and you get a lot more of the body off of those little staccato piano hits. And you can already, as soon as the vocals start, you can hear this layering, and it's so close it's really hard to call. But you can definitely, I hear more of the articulations of some of the words, um, kind of like the end of the word, right? I hear that more on the left. Some of the finer little fricatives, the closing syllable sound of a word, and I hear more of the beginning of the words and the open syllable sounds in the right. It's a very, very interesting production technique on the vocals.
Please go tell the weatherman I sent good things for all the things that he's done. So sad now it's nighttime. Yeah, catch me drifting on a firelight. Ooh,
Yeah, there's a delay echo, dun 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 dun, and then you hear it's really like compressed and panned way out to the right, so it sounds like it's bouncing off of like something way over here. Interesting. There's some other airy synth chords that come in. Rather, it feels random, but there's certain chords that the synth comes in, and it just kind of holds a whole note, and then kind of like tapers out until it just kind of fades away.
it's pouring rain, gotta get inside. Just tell me weatherman, what's it gonna be? Blue skies for the day.
Oh, synth notes da 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 da, following that arpeggio that outlining the chord. It's the same thing that the vocals are doing. Comes in the left there. Like, there are little elements added into the mix that make certain color like contrasts in certain parts too. It won't be a whole line. It'll just be the certain, but at the end of that phrase, right? It changes up the feel of it. Changes up the tone of it by adding this little arpeggiation, this synth arpeggio in the left. And man, I think there's a certain part where there's actually 3 vocals tracks going on, at least 3.
Great times on my face.
Strings in the right, da da da.
With this hidden plane, you may not understand most of. Go tell
The build up, right? So that little pre-chorus part, right? The mix is filling out, and I think that's when we get even another vocal track that's in there. It's so close, man. Like, it's so hard to parse out the individual tracks for the vocals, but it builds up, and then at the same time you have, the synth sounds starting to play these whole note durations, giving it this spirit. Like, it fills up the sound, right? And then it's one of these neat little things where, because there should be a very intuitive resolution that comes when we move to the go tell the weatherman, right? Like when you hear that bump bump, but because all of that stuff drops out in the mix, when we go right back down to just piano hits and the vocals, it drops all of that like body and all of that sort of like ambience, right? The fullness of the sound just goes, it's just gone, right? And I think that's the what's being expressed there is the feeling of like kind of being overwhelmed by those things that the ideas that gain prominence because of the way that they're sort of pushed by a lot of different things, right? Media, social media, all this stuff that's going on. So that's creating this like buzzy, this tense feeling, and then when all of that sound just sort of drops out, it's like clearing your mind. Like, okay, I'm done with all that, right? Like I'm over it. I'm moving on to something else now, and so we come back down to basic things that just the important things, right? The things that are real. Even that staccato sort of hits on the piano, it's so tactile. It's like you can feel that pulse, right? And it's so intuitive, the physical feeling of like hitting the piano chords, and it's kind of saying like, that's what's real, man. As you can touch it, it's real. Like, pay attention to what's real, right? And then all this stuff will start to fall into place, and the order will be kind of restored there. But it's an interesting sort of subversion of like the typical kind of resolution that you would get.
The weatherman, I said, I want it sunny outside today. No darkness in my emotions. So tired of living in yesterday. Go tell the weatherman, I said, all the rain from last year's pain.
Well, bass comes in, boom, 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 boom. There's such a like the amount of bass in the song is not. There's not a lot. It's all upper register, brighter sounds for the most part. Some mids in there for sure, especially the sort of rhythm synth parts. But I just now noticed, it probably came around in the first verse too, but this is the first time that the bass really stood out to me. Boom, boom. Yeah, so again, kind of accenting the half notes that are going on there, so you'll get 1 on 1 and 1 on 3. That's what gives it a throwback feeling too. There's more emphasis on the first and third beats, and that's a very classical type of sound. Popular music, puts it on a 2 and the 4, a lot of it, but going back to a classical sound. And so this is why I say this sounds almost like an Elton John song or something like that, because that emphasis coming in on 1 and 3, especially with the addition of the bass there, and even the fact that you get these half note durations that begin on 1 and then the chord change occurs on 3, so it has a very different type of feel to it from what you'd normally hear. The vocals, again, it's really interesting, because you hear like the consonant sounds, right? Like those stand out so much, and then you hear more of this sort of vowel sounds in the right. There's like a space in between them, but they keep it, and it's very, very close together, so you're like, wait a minute, but you have to kind of focus in on one and the other, and then it starts to stand out, these little articulations.
He's gone. Go tell the weatherman I sent good thanks for all the things that he's done. I was caught up in my past life. Yeah, now there's some things you cannot change. So tell me, weatherman, what's it gonna be?
Oh yeah, so we got bass, right? Actually playing on that same rhythm. We got a change up in percussion, right? Boom, 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 boom. These little fills in there, very, very it's kind of shallow sounding, but still nice. It's interesting kit sounds. Like, you have a kick and you have a snare for sure, but some of your fills it's a very different kind of kit. Again, lighter, right? A little bit more brittle. This is very much trying to the point of the song is to express a lot of light, a lot of brightness, a lot of what is the sunny side, right? That's kind of present throughout everything, from the mix to the vocal.
Turning all the time, so I can see the Mother Nature's fine with its hidden plan. You may not understand most of. Go tell.
Nice to see the vocals there, right? They were like backing vocal tracks. They come in at the next sort of half note, or halfway through the measure, in a kind of a staggered sequence there, and it's really interesting, man. It's like minimalism is absolutely a part of this song, but then it just veers into the opposite. I mean, you've got one vocalist, but the way that the vocal part of the mix is arranged, it completely just swells and blooms up into a very full sound. and the same thing happens with the mix. It's really interesting. I don't think there are things about this that sound, 70s, a little light 70s type of sound, but a lot of this production sort of technique, right? It's very specific. It's very sort of novel.
The weatherman, I said, I want it sunny outside. There no darkness in my emotions.
So now it's a vocal that has replaced the piano sound, right? It's these ha, 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 and it has to be at least 3, because it's definitely outlining a chord there, right? So you have to indicate whether it's a major or minor sound. So there's definitely 3. There's the main vocal melody that you hear that is doubled. There's two tracks have the main vocal line, the verse line that's going on here, or the hook line that's going on here, and then there's at least 3 backing vocal tracks that are outlining the chords that were in the piano before, but now it's just vocal. And man, this is a really nice part of the song, actually. And again, this might be just my bias, right?
Go tell the weatherman, I said, I want it sunny outside. There ain't no darkness in my emotions. So tired of living it yesterday. Go tell the weatherman, I said, all the rain from last year's
Different
rain.
kit sound, different drum sound. All of a sudden it's really big, right? And then we have the organ coming in, playing those half note chords, right? It changes every time. It changes every time that we go through the sections of the song. It keeps changing it up on you every time. But that part is really nice to hear, with just the vocals, with just backing vocals outlining the chords, and then the main vocal lines going on. That's a really nice sound. Yeah, that's just it's like two octaves. So we have a C here, and then where is it? Yeah, it'd be here. C, D, E, E to F, G, A, B, C, D, E to F, A, B, G, A, B, C. Okay, so you got 2 octaves there on this piano. Man, this is an interesting song. It really is. Like I said, full on by. I can't say. I have no defense against my bias informing my own take on it. It's because it's Chaeyoung, but I enjoyed this better than the original song. There's just a lot of similarities in the mix. I actually think it's really impressive to be able to recreate the production technique so well from the original track. Like, in other words, say you heard the song and you know, right, that's the song I want to do. It's such a specific production, right? The way everything in the mix is handled. So I mean, you have some really sharp producers working on this to be able to listen to unless they know somebody, right? Unless they can actually talk to somebody who worked on it. But if that's not the case and they're just going by ear, man, they're parsing out some really specific stuff in this mix that there aren't many examples of, so to be able to match it so well, so I think it's really spot. Again, I have to listen to the original more, but it sounds very, very spot on from what they did with the original track. And the only difference really is going to be Chaeyoung's vocals, being the sound that you get from this version instead. It's it's kind of like, you know, it's impressive, man. Like I'm not gonna lie about that. The production work on this is impressive. It's very interesting, the original track itself, and hearing this one a couple of times and really, you know, engaging in it. There's a lot of interesting things that are going on. There's some fantastic chord changes going on, especially in that sort of, you know, pre-chorus build-up, right? There's some sevenths in there. There's some minor chords that come in. Give it a very, it's a sweet sound, right? It has a little hint of like sadness in there. Not overwhelming sadness. It's very light. Everything in the song stays light. But it has this very sweet quality to it throughout. And it's a very novel. Like the way the song's written, the way the song is produced, it's an extremely novel take. It's good. I really like it. And like I said, it's new to me. I had no idea who this person was or the song or anything, but I do enjoy this version, and it's great to see Chaeyoung just having fun. You know, just doing something for fun. And she's had taken some time off now, and that's a good thing. I was just on a live stream earlier. There's another channel. Shout out to Clasher Tim. He was streaming earlier, which he doesn't normally do. It was on when I started my day, kind of, and I was like, oh hey, check it out, Tim's on stream. So I jumped in there, and he was talking about the tour and all of this, and I said, man, they should take a break, you know what I mean, like because they've been working for like the whole year. I mean, by the time they kicked off the tour, you know, they were preparing for it before that, the beginning of the year and all that. This means practicing. This means, you know, logistical stuff that has to be worked out. And they've just been, it seems like they've been going non-stop, man, like non-stop, just touring shows here and there. And then Gio drops a solo album, Nayeon, and now Chaeyoung with these MelPros, right? I think even Taeyeon's, the one that she did, was like during this whole schedule too, right? Misamo, like they've been working like mad, just like mad the whole time. They've been completely just grinding this entire time, man. So I would actually like to see them take a little bit of time off, man. You know, as the year comes to, as the tour finishes up and all of this, man, I think they've earned a break at this point. Like, they should be able to go home, hang out with their family, with their friends, with each other. You know, they should take a vacation. You know what I mean? Like, they should take some time to themselves for sure, because this schedule's absolutely monstrous. You know, I said that just about the tour schedule before, at the beginning of the year, and then considering like all this other stuff that's been released, and these other things that have been done. Then the ambassadors, the stuff, you know, the sponsor stuff, all this stuff going on, man. It's really, really crazy. So I say they need to take a little bit of time off, man. You give them a couple months, you know what I mean? Let them have it. Just let them relax, man. Just let them relax. I think it would go a long way, you know. It would make whatever the next comeback, you know, it's gonna be something. I mean, there was already talk about another album dropping, like all English album. That's right. Either the end of this year or like the beginning of next year. Madness, dude. How in the world do you keep up with this type of work schedule? But anyways, I think they should take it easy for a while. And this was really, really great, man. It's Chaeyoung, so I'm gonna love it already just by default. I don't even, like, before I even hear it, I'm like, okay, I love this. But it was actually really nice to hear a new song and a new sound and discover something like this. So I appreciate that part too. But she sounds incredible, man. She's this, she looks, man, I can't even describe it really. But whenever I see her, it's just like makes me happy, you know what I mean? I feel happy. And to see her having fun and being happy and smiling, and it's a good thing. It makes me feel very good. So I enjoyed this a lot, and I'll be watching it some more. I was at work yesterday, and of course it's like, oh, this dropped and everything, and I didn't have time to get to it yesterday, but I was looking on YouTube, right? And the video had been posted for 40 minutes, and it had like 43,000 views, and I'm like, this thing is getting a little over 1,000 views a minute as it drops. Like, that's nuts, dude. That's I mean, it's awesome. I love it. It's great, right? I wish it were 2,000 a minute, but that's like wild, dude. 1,000 views, a little over 1,000 views a minute as soon as this thing dropped. That's crazy, man. It's crazy. But it's really cool stuff also. Really cool. So that was fun. It was fun discovering a new song, a new sound, getting to see Chaeyoung and hear her and see her just having a good time. What more could once ask for? What more could a Chaeyoung stan ask for? Not much, not much. So that was fun, man. That was fun. Weatherman. It's interesting. Yeah, interesting. I might be inclined to hear some more stuff from Eddie Benjamin, because it's a good song. It's a good song. There's a lot of things about it that are interesting. So that was good, man. It was good. Chaeyoung, with the Melody Project, covering Eddie Benjamin's Weatherman. It's good. Feels good, man. Feels good.